What is up, everyone? This is BigPowner, and in this video, I'm going to be touching more on how group play can be mutually beneficial for different niches. The biggest thing is, you want to get benefits yourself, but you also don't want to be that person that feels like I'm not able to contribute anything to the other people that are in this group. And if you do want to be someone that's not contributing anything to the group and you just want to be getting stuff, then you're just a shitty person and you're that person that, unfortunately people that are looking for good groups have to deal with and then wind up having to kick. And you're really only shooting yourself in the foot. So don't be a greedy douche. um, but the other side of that is, if you want to be contributing and you don't know how, I'm going to give you some ideas on how you can be mutually beneficial, things that, people that haven't been doing group play, haven't been playing with other players and trying to help other players might not be aware of. And being aware of it's going to make it so that you're going to feel like you're contributing to the group, and the people that you're playing with are going to know that you are contributing to them and making an effort to help them advance in the game and be a benefit to the group. First thing is knowing what it is that you can contribute. For myself, I'm a mapper. I know I'm good at blight maps. So if I'm playing in a group, I'm going to volunteer to complete blight maps. We're going to assume that I'm playing in a full group dynamic. You might not wind up in a full group dynamic. You might only have a couple people in your group dynamic. So you can just, change the numbers that I'm using, and, that's how it works out. Really early league. Sorry, I'm drinking a carbonated beverage. Really early league, it's super advantageous to complete blight maps. And why is it super advantageous to complete blight maps? It drops a lot of items, especially if you're playing in a group. Say I have five other people in the group and myself. If we're all using different builds, which to have the most efficient group, you're going to want people using different builds. So you aren't all looking for the same gear. If you have 6 people all using the same build, the group dynamic is not going to be very good because you're not going to be able to share as well with each other. And there's going to be like, if you're playing a map together and something drops that you all need, then it's kind of like, well, shit, who gets it? The person that picked it up. Are they going to? They might even, I mean, even if they want to share, but they're like, well, everyone needs it and I picked it up, they might even just feel shitty about keeping it, even though they should. That's just not really the best group dynamic. You're going to want different roles. You're going to want different builds. So, blight maps. The super big advantage of blight maps is, first of all, the completions of blight maps early league, you are going to be generating more currency than you would have been able to just sell them for. And this is based off this last league. First couple days, low tier blight maps were like 1 to 3 chaos was what I was getting them for, which I was getting more currency, the collective currency from them, than that by quite a bit. And then also was dropping lots of gear. For myself, playing by myself, there was some gear that dropped for me, but there was a lot of stuff. If I had 5 other builds in my group, they would have been advantageous for all of those builds really early league. It would have been a lot of upgrades for people because a lot of gear drops. Advantage for me, knowing a lot of builds, I'm going to know what gear is going to be advantageous for a lot of those builds. So that would be something else that I bring to the table, is I know a lot of builds, so I know what's going to be valuable to builds. But if you don't know, you can just be in a party chat and you can link stuff. And then if someone needs something, they can be like, I need that. So if I'm going to be in a group, basically all the people that would have just been selling their maps, or they would have been doing them and having a high chance of failing because their build ain't that good for blight maps. Maybe they're also not that good at blight maps. Who knows? But obviously a boss killer ain't going to be the best blight map completer. A delver ain't going to be the best blight map completer. Lots of builds are not going to be great at completing blight maps. Plain and simple, most builds are not that great at blight maps, so when they have low gear, they have a high chance of failing. The ice shot and being skilled at blight maps, I'm able with very crappy gear to consistently complete blight maps. So the person who gives me the blight map to complete is going to wind up with more currency than they would have just from selling it. then they're going to have a chance at the gear drops that they wouldn't have had a chance at also. I'm going to get stuff out of it because I'm the one that's putting the time into completing it, so I'm going to be splitting some currency with whoever I'm completing it for, so it's advantageous for me. And then the whole group is going to get chances for gear upgrades. If everyone is sending their blight maps to me to complete, that means that you as one person, say you're, the boss killer or the delver, and delver's not going to really be contributing blight maps. They're going to be in the delve the whole time, and I'll cover that. Um, so the boss killer gives me one map. What are they really getting for that one map? They're going to consistently be getting more currency than they would have gotten from selling the map. On top of that, they're going to be getting chances for gear from 6 times the maps. Well, we'll call it like 5.5 because the Delver ain't really going to be doing much mapping, and I'll cover that also. Um, so they're getting more currency just from giving me the map than they would have been getting, pretty consistently. And then on top of that, they're getting 5.5 times, we'll call it a half for the Delver, 5.5 times the chances for gear from the blight maps because we're working as a group. If something good drops from anyone's blight maps, that person is going to get that gear upgrade. Which until the group's gear gets good enough, the gear goes to those people, and then once that person no longer needs that gear, then that gear would go for sale. So lots of chances to get gear upgrades. That is a big advantage just from blight maps. So having someone that's good at blight maps in your group is huge advantage. If you're good at blight maps, that is a huge advantage that you can provide to your team. And trust me, they're going to be very, very happy that they can just hand you a blight map and, 8 to 10 minutes later, you hand them more currency than they could have and possibly an upgrade. And then randomly, you're going to be distributing upgrade gear to other people in the team. Everyone's going to be super stoked about having you as a part of the team. Plain and simple. No one's going to be upset about, constantly getting more currency than they would have, kind of like with, what the boss killer would be doing for you. They're completing a higher tier series. They're getting better loot for you. They're making something out of it, and you're getting more loot than you would have. That's the advantage they give to you. So that alone, big advantage you're going to be giving. Obviously, we know mapper going to be completing the most amount of maps. We know that the mapper is going to be providing the most chances, the most work for the boss killer, so that's advantage to the boss killer. You're also going to be providing the most amount of soul fight to the miner. Why is that? Because we're going to be completing the most amount of maps, which means we're going to have the most amount of masters. How is it that the delver is going to be benefiting from the group dynamic? This is how. Everyone else in the group besides the delver will not be doing any delves, but they will be getting Nico missions. So the job and the contribution of all of the rest of the team, outside of just giving gear drops that are relevant to the delver, those gear drops, is that when they have Nico missions and the delver needs soul fight, they run one of their master missions for Nico. They complete the map, and then they give a portal to the Delver. The Delver hops in. The person who's completing the map can just go ahead and jump out of the map and start the next map because the person that's already in the map, they don't need more than one portal. Once they're in it, they can easily just collect the sulfite. And you also want to leave before they collect the sulfite so that they get the full amount of sulfite. Because remember, no one else is going to be doing delving at all for the beginning portion of you trying to advance. Obviously, once you get later and everyone's geared and they're doing their own thing, then this might not be hold true. You might start wanting to do delving. But in the beginning, you ain't going to have any need for sulfite because you going into the delve, unless you're the delver, is just a waste of time. So what is it that the delver is going to be providing? They're going to be providing the fossils and the resonators. For like the ice shot build, they're going to be getting a mapper's worth of sulfite, and there is no way that you can get better sulfite than having someone that completes it for you, and then you just get to teleport onto the first one and then collect the other ones in an empty map where you get full sulfite. So it's better sulfite collection than doing group sulfite collecting. And the biggest advantage to the delver is this basically will completely, if at least close to completely cut out your need to do any mapping, which means you're going to have basically all currency time inside of your delve. So huge advantage to the delver. Their contribution back is going to be giving, fossils and resonators. The only things that a delver gets are not just fossils and resonators, but that is the contribution that they will make to the group. The thing is for instance, like for the ice shot, I'm only going to need so much fossils and resonators to get my negative cold resistance helm, to get my underground gloves, and to eventually get my my Steigen Vice, which I may do. I may wind up not even doing a fossil crafted belt. The point is, it's going to be an advantage for both people. First of all, specifically for the ice shot, I mean, I need frigid fossils and pristine fossils and resonators, which if metamorphosis kills blight maps, there's probably going to be more frigid fossils and pristine fossils being generated from these other mechanics than I'm actually going to need. But sharing with the group to get the gear that they need, everyone's going to shift resources to where it's needed so that everyone can be strong if the group is working correctly. But the Delver is not going to be like crippled, like shit, I'm not making anything because I'm giving away all of my currency. No, you're still going to be getting all of the regular drops. Those would be your own. Obviously, if something drops, it's good for one of your teammates. You should share that because they're going to be doing the same thing for you. But just the simple fact that you will basically be able to be delving like all the time is going to increase your currency so much because when you're stocking sulfite, that cuts down into your delving time a lot. So big advantage there. The other thing that the other main thing that the mapper is going to be able to provide is going to be Einhars. They will provide, obviously everyone that's running maps is going to be getting some Einhars, but that's going to be another thing you're going to want to do as a group. And the reason why is because everyone gets the exact same reward. So once the group winds up getting, a decent amount of Einhars, you all are going to group up and then you're all going to speed run maps. And the cool thing is everyone gets the rewards from that Einhar. How you split that up can be whatever, as far as drops inside of the map. Whoever's map it was, they can get the drops, or you guys can just share. I don't know how you guys want to do that, but there's that part of it. But the main thing is everyone's going to share the beasts. And early game, trying to advance, having a bunch of crafting resources inside of your group that you can pool. Say one person really needs a weapon, or one person's struggling really bad. You guys run a bunch of Einhars, you get a bunch of beast crafting recipes, because every beast crafting recipe that you get one of means you're going to have 6 because you're running it as a group. Which, if you're actually working together, that means if one person's struggling, you can pool those 6 tries, which is going to give a pretty good chance of you being able to create something good for that player and, you know, help them out. So whoever's struggling, basically, you help them out, and that's how you're going to be able to advance. Um, you obviously now know the role of the delver is basically going to be providing resonators and fossils. The main thing being the resonators, because you actually have to go into delve to get resonators. Resonators hardly never drop from metamorphosis. They don't drop from, or I've never seen one from a blight map, and I did a couple hundred this last season. So unless they've added those as drops, or I'm just like never seen them. I saw a couple 4-socket resonators drop from metamorphosis, but not very many. Um, so the main thing is the delver's going to have to provide resonators and probably some fossils to help out the teammates early on to get some of the fossil crafted stuff. Anyways, the main thing with group play is to be trying to actually help each other, and you have to actually make an active effort to be helping each other. If you have someone on your team that is just not helping, there's a difference in them struggling and they're just not getting anything, um, and someone that's just not wanting to help. If someone's just not wanting to help, they're not contributing anything, you need to kick them out of the group and you need to find a new person. Every season I have people that I play with that are just, trying to steal stuff, trying to use people, and you just unfriend them. that is unfortunately an experience that most people will have trying to find a group unless you just have really good friends already that you can start putting some of the stuff in to work with. Obviously, that's the best case scenario. If you already have friends you're playing with, talk to them and try to work out a group. Try to get someone to be a delver, try to get someone to be a boss killer, get a couple mappers. Spread out your build so you're not looking for the exact same gear. You can get a really efficient group running that way. Looking and starting off with random people, maybe talk to them a little bit before you jump into playing with them. But like I said from the beginning, you want to be actively trying to contribute so that they can see that you are a good member, a contributing member of the group, which is going to in turn make them want to help you more if you're helping them. So if you know how you can contribute and you're actively trying to contribute, they should be doing the same thing for you. If they're not, like I said, Bouscale. Kick them out of the group. If you're in a group where the whole group ain't helping you, no one's doing anything for you, and you're doing stuff for them and helping them, and nothing is being returned to you, then you need to leave the group. Um, I've I've had those experiences, and I don't regret them because you got to sift through you got to sift through mud to find yourself some gold nuggets. If you're panning, it ain't all gonna be gold. You got to sift through some shit to you got to sift through some shit to find something good. Um, Maybe that's not worth it to you, but the reward of finding good people to play with is that everyone's going to mutually benefit. Um, and that's just plain and simple. There's no way that you can have all of the benefits that you can get from group play without having a group. Um, it's just not possible. There's a lot of other things that you can do together. You could even have people that focus on getting specific group type things like you guys can pool your fragments for breach zones so you guys can run them all together. Obviously, then if something good drops from one of the bosses, you got a boss killer. You definitely want to have a boss killer and a mapper at the very least. I mean, the smallest group should be boss killer mapper because those two work the best together. Having a delver in there is going to be really good. There's other niches that you can get into, like you could have someone that really likes crafting. There are people that really like crafting, and what they focus on doing is trying to unlock all of the stuff really early. That's a big advantage to the group because being able to craft, having someone that can craft, is going to be really good. A crafter is going to work really well with a bosser. They're going to work really well with a delver because if the delver is providing fossils and this person has all the crafting recipes unlocked, and your boss killer and your boss killer and your mappers are producing a lot of the resources, you're going to be able to craft really high tier gear, which means you can either get your group geared up really fast, and then once your group is geared up really fast, then you can craft really high tier items, and then you can sell those. Obviously, the person that's selling the stuff has to be someone trustworthy to actually sell it and then split up the currency between the group because that's a group effort. You have someone crafting it, you have someone getting the fossils, people getting the the special exalted orbs, someone getting you're pooling beast crafting materials. There is some trust that has to be built between your group in order for it to wind up being the most beneficial, because raw resources are not going to earn as much as what you can create, or it's kind of like the blight map. If you just sell the blight map, you get a small reward, but if you have someone that can complete it early, you're going to get more of a reward, and it's going to benefit the whole team. And that's kind of how a lot of the things in the game are. And there's tons of niches that could fit into a group. It's lots of people have different things that they like doing. Maybe you have people that like doing trading. Maybe you want to have someone that mostly focuses on trading. Maybe you have someone that's really knowledgeable on trading, and they are going to handle all of your trading. That's a good niche. You could have someone that is just on a lot. They're really knowledgeable about selling stuff, and you can let them manage selling stuff if you trust them to sell the stuff for the group. If they're actually going to distribute income, that would be another really good addition to your group. Some people really like just spending a lot of time trading. They'd basically be like the account manager for your group or something like that. There's tons of different roles that you can bring into this group dynamic. Any person that has their own niche, if you know what you can do for a group and other people can benefit, you let them know, hey, I can do this for the group. This is what I can contribute. Um, I can't go over every single possible thing that someone can contribute to a group because everyone has their own little hustles, everyone has their own little niches. I just wanted to bring to light some of the biggest things that group interactions can be beneficial to the group. Um, I mean, even getting into stuff like even getting into stuff like scarabs. Mapper, if you guys have a bunch of scarabs and you're a bosser and you're not using your scarabs, give them to your mapper because the mapper, say, harbingers or sextants. If you're the boss killer and you're focusing on boss killing and you got a bunch of sextants and your mapper could be using sextants to buff stuff up, hook them up with some extra stuff. I'm sure that if they're getting good rewards and you guys have a good working relationship, and you're actually helping each other out, I'm sure they're going to kick back stuff to you too. If you're not using resources and someone on your team can use them, then hook them up with those resources. If they don't reciprocate, then they shouldn't be a part of your team. But there should always be ways that you can help each other out. And that's kind of what I wanted to focus on with this video, is to just bring some of that stuff to light. I hope that you guys can wind up getting some good relationships. I hope this video gives you some good ideas on how you can find mutually beneficial relationships with other people in the game. Just don't be a dick and don't screw people over. Don't be that guy. Anyways, thanks for watching. Peace.